I cannot turn away hurricanes. I cannot help only do the things I can do that will win my power. Now, I can help prepare, as we did last week, for the potential of Hurricane Joaquin, do the best we can to make sure we assist folks so that they are prepared if some big event occurs. Gun crimes are not acts of God. But for too long, certain politicians and lobbyists have told us that gun violence in America is some sort of natural phenomenon, something we cannot do anything about. Today, we are gathered to recognize that we are not helpless to gun violence, that we can prevent it, and we are willing to act here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Because everybody in this room realizes that there are going to be more senseless killings and more families shattered unless we take some actions. This is an issue that I talk about each and every day. As Secretary Moran mentioned, I talked about it every single day when I ran for governor. Those in the governor's office know this is something I've talked about since the day I was inaugurated. This is something that is at the core of my bones and something I feel very, very strongly about. Many of us at this podium and many others across the Commonwealth have consistently pressed for legislation to close the gun show loophole and to expand background checks. And let me be clear, and we will do it again. We have called for laws revoking gun rights for stalkers and domestic abusers, and we will do it again. Decent, law-abiding citizens and the law enforcement leaders here today recognize that the gun violence is an epidemic. It is a threat to public safety. And the only people who are threatened by common sense steps that we have proposed are the NRA and those politicians that they support. But we don't work for the gun lobby. Let me be very clear. I work for you. Everybody standing up here today works for the Commonwealth of Virginia. It is our duty to respond when faced with a public safety threat. So today I'm announcing the latest actions my administration is going to take to address the danger of gun violence here in Virginia. These steps will not replace the need for new legislation, but they represent important steps that we can take to move forward to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous individuals. Today I'm signing Executive Order number 50 that directs the following actions. First, I'm establishing a joint task force to prosecute gun crimes. This task force will be headed by the Attorney General Mark Herring and the Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security, Brian Moran. It will include representatives from the Virginia State Police, prosecutors, local law enforcement, the Department of Criminal Justice Services, and our federal partners. I am charging the task force with two important functions. First, to develop and coordinate strategies to prosecute and better enforce the laws already on the books. When a tragedy occurs, you always see the other side on television saying, well, just enforce the laws on the books. So, we're going to enforce the laws on the books. Right now, thousands of gun crimes are committed by firearms that are obtained illegally. There is a patchwork of federal, state, and local law enforcement efforts that leave many of these illegal gun sales unchecked, and illegal gun dealers operate without effective consequences. Let our message go out clear today to those who are selling guns illegally. We are going to come after you, and we are going to prosecute you. This task force will take aggressive action to find innovative ways to coordinate resources and information to find these people and to prosecute them. I want this group to be creative. I want you to be aggressive, but I don't have to tell these two folks that. We have an obligation to strictly enforce our existing state and federal gun laws, but I believe that we can do so much better. Second, the task force will conduct a thorough review of our current laws related to the transfer and sale of firearms to point out gaps that need to be filled with a special emphasis on actions that they're going to come back to me that I can take through executive order as governor. The task force will also review whether state and local agencies have the appropriate resources to address the illegal guns that we have here in the Commonwealth. In addition to establishing this task force, I'm taking a number of steps that are within my power as governor to protect Virginians from gun violence. First, I am exercising my authority under Virginia law to authorize the Attorney General to coordinate the investigation and prosecution of these gun crimes and to, where appropriate, bring charges against the offenders. This will bring new state resources to the important task of prosecuting gun crimes all across the Commonwealth. Second, I'm directing the Virginia State Police to establish a statewide tip line that citizens can call to report gun law violations. Individuals who provide valuable information leading to the successful prosecution will be eligible for a financial reward. Third, I am directing the Virginia State Police to work closely with local law enforcement to expand our use of the E-Trace program to trace every single gun used in the commission of a crime. This program will help us find out where a crime gun came from in order to help prosecute, and this new task force will be able to have more successful prosecutions and the tools that they will give to our folks involved in the prosecution of these crimes. Many law enforcement divisions are already using E-Trace successfully, and this executive order will now build upon those efforts. Fourth, my office and the Attorney General will work to obtain buy-in from prosecutors and judges to expand the use of gun forfeiture orders in cases of domestic violence or stalking. If an individual today is legally prohibited from obtaining a gun because he has been convicted of a violent crime or is the subject of domestic violence protective order, folks, then he should not be allowed to keep the guns already in his possession. That is common sense. So I've asked the Attorney General to work with our prosecutors. I do not want to see one gun in the hand of an individual who has had a protective order brought against them. It is time to stop this loophole. Finally, this executive order begins the process, and when I sign this executive order in a few minutes, we will be banning all firearms in executive branch office buildings with the exceptions of law enforcement officials. I've asked DGS to go back and prepare and do what they need to do, but that will become effective immediately as it relates to open carry, and to come back to me within 30 days with a report on concealed handguns. But in a very few moments, you will no longer will be able to walk into one of our state office buildings with open carry. Our state offices must be places where people feel safe and welcome. We should not wait for the next tragedy to occur to identify places where there is no justifiable need to carry a firearm. What I am presenting to you today is the next step in this administration's continued efforts and commitment to find solutions to the terrible public safety threat that we have today with folks who are using guns illegally and, as I say, are in the hands of dangerous individuals. I am confident that we can work together to identify more actions, either executive or legislative, to protect families across this Commonwealth. As our Attorney General knows, because we have a great partnership, if he gives me the legal authority to act, I will act. But there is no question that it will take more than just good ideas to make the greater changes that we need to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous individuals. We remain determined to toughen Virginia's lax gun laws. We have appealed to hearts, we have appealed to reason, and we will continue to make the case to lawmakers and the voters who elect them. So far, Political opponents have responded with